Hi, good morning and welcome to a new episode of ETRetail Cafe. I'm Charu Lamba, your host for ETRetail Cafe by ETRetail. We have with us today Shriti Malhotra, who's the Group CEO of Quest Retail, and she's on a mission to make you look beautiful. Welcome to ETRetail Cafe, Shriti. How has been your morning like?
Thank you, Charu. I never intended to do that to make the world look beautiful. But thank you. My morning has been most vibrant thanks to meeting you. And really, it's a great day today. And thank you for this opportunity and looking forward to interact.
Should you tell me how your journey in retail started? Because when you were chit-chatting before the interview, you were telling me you come from a very small part of India, which is Ranchi, almost in the heart of India, and how you decided to conquer the retail industry. How it happened? It happened by chance, or were you on a mission to do it?
I think if you set your mind on something, destiny kind of opens the doors for you. So, yes, coming from a small town, but with very big dreams and always wanting to be part of a larger world and always wanting to be different. So, when I came from a very academic background, I came to Delhi. It's a big city for a small town girl. And there I was faced with so many different experiences, and that really kind of opened up my world and made me, more bold, more confident of myself. And I came into retail as a gradual phase. So in the early 90s, I joined NIFT, and that was a time of really where fashion and this whole fashion and the creativity side was really at its peak. And NIFT gave me a very, very good exposure to the world of fashion and the world of creativity and design. But when I went out of NIFT and looking for a career, I didn't opt for a career in a fashion house or in anything to do with design and apparel and fashion. I just wanted to get into retail because I felt that that's something that people hadn't done, and I felt that working with brands and brands that disrupted experiences of the consumer. So that's how I got into retail. To sum it up, just to do what I wanted to do and be the first to do it and be a little bit different in my outlook, at that point of time. But over a period of time, after joining retail in 1994, today I'm here in 2024. It's 30 years, and I'm a retailer by heart and by soul.
So being a retailer at heart and by soul, 30 years into retail is a very long time. How have you seen the retail industry changing? How was it then when you were looking after the apparel segment retail and now the beauty segment retail? You must have seen the retail sector evolving, the consumer expectations evolving, and what changes are there?
I think it's a world apart. 30 years ago, it's a world apart because there was no retail when we came in. There were brands and then there were franchisees, and brands kind of did marketing and franchisees did the retailing, and that was where it all started. But the ability to travel across and see how different franchisees were working their business in their own local way was very interesting, because you understood that especially in a market like India, one size does not fit all. So that was the first big learning, that in order to be successful at retail, of course you need to follow guidelines and frameworks and service and really be exceptional in terms of execution. But what's equally important was how do you localize and how do you resonate with the local customer. So that was one very big learning early on, and that hasn't changed till today. It has changed in various forms and various ways of communication, but that remains front and center today as well. But I think retail has transformed drastically in India, and that's largely because consumer has transformed drastically. So I think there are three or four changes that, of course, we all know about, but I would just like to kind of talk about as well. The one is retail is shaped by consumer choices and the way consumers is evolving. So that's number one. Second is that retail has moved from being a small physical unit into an experience, right? So retailers are no longer physical units which serve the customer, but they are larger experiences which kind of build experiences and bring to life for the consumer what products they're consuming, why they're consuming those brands, why they should gravitate towards those brands, what are the values for those brands, and so on and so forth. Thirdly, retail has evolved into channel agnostic journey recently. It no longer matters for the consumer actually to be either in a physical retail store or go to a multi-brand store or online store. Consumer is not thinking like that. Consumer is looking at the most convenient way and the most enriching way to shop. So for a retailer, you have to make sure that all your channels are able to, in various ways balance out this requirement for the consumer. So I think the omni-channel approach is very central to today's retail. At the same time, we all talk about quick commerce. So today, quick commerce is not something that we can ignore, whether you're in fashion or whether you're in sports or in beauty. That's the consumer choice today. So I think retail today has evolved into being a consumer-led industry, and that's rightfully so. And retail is also has evolved into a highly experiential platform, which is there for the consumers to kind of, consumers to get educated, to kind of connect with the brands, connect with the education, understand the why and how of products. These were all missing earlier. So
true, the retail has evolved a lot. When we talk about Shriti, there must be a few learnings because you have worked in various categories of retail, apparel, fashion, then Planet Fashion also. You've worked for Nike, which is a sportswear brand, and then Quest Retail and Body Shop. So I want to understand what are the 3 learnings that you have acquired from there on your journey, and how are you implying at the organization you're working for currently?
I think the first and foremost, most important thing is that retail is beyond just transactions. Retail is just beyond sales and profits. Profits are very important, but what is equally important is retail is about people, and I think people on all sides. So you have retail, the people who are working in the stores. You have retail, the consumers who are shopping with you, and in between there's a community which you are part of. So I think one very important thing that I would like to bring to life is that retail is about people. That's one of the things that I would just kind of place very, very deeply and strongly. The second thing is that be authentic. Be about people, be about community. That's one side. Be authentic. I try to be, that's as a personal philosophy, I try to be as authentic as possible, and you can ask my team. Sometimes I go overboard on the authenticity, but it's just that be real, and people will appreciate brands and experiences which show them authenticity and which show them transparently what things are. So I think be authentic is the second pillar that I would stand with. And if you talk about the third pillar, I would say that and that's something very unique to our company, that spend a lot of time in the community to see how beyond business you can actually work with the community and be part of that community, which kind of whether it's environment, whether it's sustainability, whether it's empowering women workers anywhere, whether it's education, whether it's any field that you want to give an impact in. I think the third thing is create an impact. So these are 3 things, people, authenticity and impact.
And I guess this is what you're weaving into your organization also, and it has become the USP of Quest Retail, because sustainability and community are the 2 things you're getting big
Absolutely. And I just want to tell you, when we started the Body Shop, and within the first year we were working on projects like Stop Domestic Violence, Stop Sex Trafficking. These were really disruptive things to be doing when actually we should be setting up businesses and opening stores, but that was there. But this is also equally important because it helped us to kind of understand the larger impact that as a brand that you can do, or a business you can do in the community. So just very interesting but very disruptive ways to approach retail.
But Shriti, when you were setting up these standards at Quest Retail, I mean, you must have kept a few pointers in your mind, like while I'm hiring the talent, these are the things which they have to qualify, and then only I'll be able to meet these goals of ours. So what were these 3 qualities that you were looking while hiring the talent of your company?
I think with great respect and with great humility, I must say that the success of retail depends upon your people, right? While technology is stepping in now, but really the success of retail depends upon people. When we started hiring talent, and and I'm talking about Quest Retail, and because we are in the business of beauty, I won't talk about my past experiences. When we started the beauty business, there was no beauty business. There was FMCG, there was fashion, there was footwear, there was no beauty. So we just kind of sat back and said, how do we do this, and how do we open stores when there's no store to kind of follow, or to kind of position against in India. So we set up about, of course, setting up the Body Shop stores, but equally important was that it was a male-dominated workforce. And for us, our early years were spent in helping women to understand what it means to work in a retail store. And for them, it means not just a place where they can earn money, but also a place where they get empowered. Because guess what? Women are the best at creating relationships and nurturing relationships. So this is a natural place that they can be in. So one of the USP, as you talked about, or one of the things that Quest Retail that we have done so far is about how we build people. So I can very humbly but proudly say that the people who have started with us in 2006 and 7 are still with us today, because they have believed in this. They have lived this life. So there's nothing better than living the ideals that you want to nurture. They have lived this life, they celebrate it, and they are empowering others also to feel the same. So I think that's what I would like to.
But when you have the talent currently, which 3 qualities do you focus upon?
Okay, qualities. I think simplicity is first. Simplicity and willingness to just make people happy. We don't train for a skill right now. We train for attitude. We hire for attitude. We train for skill. So we hire for attitude, simplicity, and the desire to please, which means to say that be happy. Make sure the people interacting with you are happy. So we hire people right from the start. And then we build. They are a blank space, blank sheet of paper, and we build them. It's a very long journey, but that's what we do. But what it really helps us is it builds for us people who will last out. So one is that ability to please. Second is, it's something that, a lot of consumers have told me that when I come to the store, the one thing that stands out is people are very happy here. Your staff is very happy. So second is that, do things for the team. They are your brand advocates. They are your brand ambassadors. They are the ones who make your business run. Do things that will make them happy on a daily basis. Do things that show them that you care. So I think, in terms of, hiring is one thing, but also after hiring, how do you really change the journey for them and create happy stores and happy teams? I think that's the second part.
It's all about nurturing.
Nurturing. So, that's the philosophy that we believe in. I think a lot of companies would believe in a different philosophy. And the third philosophy that we kind of really hire for is inclusivity. Especially being in beauty, the inclusivity part where everybody is beautiful, everybody has a role to play. We really, for the last 3 years, we've really been hiring for inclusivity because nobody should be left behind. I think that's one of the areas that we work with very strongly now. So train people from a blank sheet of paper. They really love you for it because you took them from nowhere to somewhere. Make them happy and then hire for inclusivity.
That's nice. Shriti, you very beautifully touched on in between the challenges also. I mean, when you started Quest Retail, so there was a challenge getting women out and make them work. So I'm very sure the challenge at that point of time was different and challenges now must be different. So what were the challenges at that point of time and how are they different from now?
So at that point of time, because the challenge was about how to get women in the workforce. So thankfully, over the last many years, we've got more than 50% of women in the workforce. So that was one of the challenges at that point in time. Today, the challenge is that how do we keep our teams, because we have stores across almost 100 cities, how do we keep our teams connected, to a central role or to the company and to the philosophies of the company? That's a big challenge because distance is a challenge. Even though technology is there, retail is all about interaction and people. I think the big challenge that we face is how do we, replicate success factors of our stores and teams across almost 100 plus cities. Second, of course, is that there is dearth of talent completely. So for us, earlier we never used to talk about attrition, but now the attrition is becoming a big part. But what has happened, Charu, is that because of the company that we are, what we've seen is over the last 5 years, people have left us because they've joined for bigger roles or more money, which is very important. But then after some time, and they've come back and said, this is the place I want to work in. So we are seeing that kind of, the challenge is letting them go, but the joy is to see them come back. So talent is a huge challenge today. Connecting to our store teams across the country is a huge challenge. The bigger you get, the more disconnected you become. And these are the two main challenges that I would say.
And Shriti, deviating from what we are talking about, I want to touch upon the advertising and technology part also. How do you take care of all the things here at Quest Retail? So starting from technology, when you started working, I mean, technology was not that an integral part of the retail. Now it has shaped up and taking just shaping up retail in a different way altogether. So, to understand how did it shape you also? How did you acquire the tech skills while being on the job? And have you had ever thought of that? What if it takes a job someday? What will you do?
I'll answer the last part later. Okay, so we've been very conscious about technology, and that's because we have been working with global brands, and technology has been at the forefront from quite early on. So almost 15 years ago, we opened our direct to sales, our own online platform. And that was a time where everybody felt that, why are you opening online? It's this fraud happening, you'll never make money. And, just focus on your stores and give the online to somebody else to run. You don't need to invest in that technology and that whole, infrastructure and things like that. But we did that 15 years ago. So our learning on technology was very early on. And I think as an individual myself, I play a big role in understanding technology. I love technology because technology enables gives you the ability to see through a lot of things. It helps to create data sets. It helps you to get learning on the data sets on which you can apply your emotional intelligence and you can do great things. So I think technology is core. So we understood that very early on when we started our own digital business. And and even before that, in 2007, we were the only brand in beauty to have a loyalty business almost 20 years ago. That was technology driven. So without technology, we could not have moved ahead even at that point of time. But nobody talked about technology or loyalty then because it was not talked about, right? It was just not talked about. Okay, you had a loyalty program, fine. It must be working somehow. But it was technology that was driving it. So very early on, we understood the importance of technology and tried to do it before a lot of brands did. Having our own DTC for all our brands, whether it's Body Shop, whether it's Kiehl's or Avon or whatever our brands are, that has given us a great hold on technology and visibility into technology. But more than that, we have invested very early on in ERP, in backend systems, in logistics system, warehouse management systems. All is technology. So actually, technology as we see today had its forms and shapes very much early on. Today, we see that technology has changed its form dramatically, and therefore, what's important is that how do you acquire the data that technology brings to you? How do you learn from that data? And that's why artificial intelligence comes in very early, very handy. And for us, we are creating a data lake. We are creating we have a chief technology officer. We have a director of technology. So our tech infrastructure is probably one of the most robust for us. And we have teams, like you have innovation teams in manufacturing or in design, we have innovation teams in technology. Their role is to constantly create applications and opportunities for technology to give us more insights. And I think, technology is so integrated into retail today that we shouldn't think of technology as different. It's part of that. It's part of our ecosystem. But what technology and digital, I would say, has brought in is a completely new way of marketing, what you asked. So from being a standalone retailer, we were dependent on malls and shopping centers. But guess what? 70 to 80% of consumers who are shopping in malls or wherever they're shopping are making the decision online. So the ability to be visible online, the ability to be on various online platforms, the ability to be searched, the ability to be investing in search and algorithms is important. The ability to make sure that your reviews and ratings by consumers are in place. Because Charu, even if you go to a restaurant today, if you don't know the restaurant, the first thing you'll go is, I want to review it. So that's the way your first discovery is. So technology gives you discoverability, and it can be anywhere across the world. People can discover you just through technology. So I think technology is amazing. It just gives so much opportunity for retailers to really enrich the whole retail experience and really drive business, if I may say so.
So in-store technology, is actually helping consumers make sane decisions.
Absolutely.
And which are actually benefiting them also.
Absolutely. And there's so many in-store technologies, there's RFID, heat mapping, the ability to have live stocks, the ability to have endless aisles, to be able to serve customers through online pickup, offline, curbside pickup, reserve your stock. There's so many opportunities. And most important, technology really optimizes business. The way we manage inventory, it really comes about through technology. Otherwise, there's no way you can manage it, manage the data. So I think there are serious things and serious problems that technology is solving for us retailers, as well as there are very interesting and gamification opportunities with technology. But all in all, it's a core aspect of business that we cannot, I don't even say it cannot be ignored. It's today and it's the future.
So touching upon the future now, how do you see the future of retail evolving here in India, considering that BPC sector, which was like people were skeptical of trying maybe 2 creams in a day because it might leave something on their face, and now with layering and trying new products every day in day out, how do you see BPC sector and retail sector evolving going ahead, and within that Quest evolving going ahead?
I think, and I didn't answer your question earlier.
Yeah, what will you do? Yeah, right.
So, what would I do if I didn't have a job? I would be very happy farming and being in the community. So I don't mind.
Nice.
I don't mind, because there's a lot of things that you can already, if technology did take my job, I wouldn't resent it. I would say, okay, now's the time for the next chapter of my journey.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I mean, technology, I mean, things change, and you have to be part of that change, right?
Sure.
If technology can do the role that we can do, we do the, so that would be so much better. But yeah, for the future, I think the beauty sector is really turbocharged at this point of time. I think more than any other sector, any forums I go to, any place I go to, beauty is a very hot topic. That's simply because consumer is taking so much pains to educate themselves, wants to know so much about how products and services work for them, what's in it for me, how can it solve my problem. I think the beauty sector is really evolving very fast and growing fast. And the consumers have opened that up, right? They're so aware, they're so educated, they search online, they know what they want, and they search accordingly. For brands who have to be, for the future of beauty, I think it's all about, I will again say, it's all about the fact that be real and authentic, because the new consumers are not looking at brands that are, stand in a box or, trying to talk their language, but it's authentic and relate to consumers. I think that's authenticity is key. Second is, you must have products that work. At the end of the day, you can have as number of brands coming into the market, you can have as number of exciting packaging happening, the consumer will find you out. So make sure the products work, and that's what is going to be the success of BPC. The brands that will survive are the brands that have authenticity, that have products that are highly effective and work for the consumer. And thirdly, I would like to say is that it's something that has been very core to us, but its consumers are gravitating towards us. That's the ability to tell a story and the ability to kind of embrace sustainability as a core requirement for the business. So consumers are looking at, what does this brand do other than just sell? Yeah. What does this brand stand for? What does this brand really mean to me more than just products? So consumers are looking brands that stand for something. And to stand for something, it's all about how you can tell a story that can help the consumer connect with you. It's all about how you can show their sustainability, that you're really working and you're caring for the community and environment. And sustainability is not just about environment, it's also about the community, how you can create sustainable options for the community. So I think these three things, authenticity, have products that work, and sustainability and storytelling. I think those are the three. They are going to be the future of beauty, because all of them, why they're the futures, all of them resonate with the customer today. So customer needs brand that means something. They want to be part of something big. They want to be part of something that really, ties in with their own philosophies in life. And you would see the young consumers today. They don't listen to the generations ahead of them. They just feel very strongly about things, and that's where brands will succeed.
And how do you see overall Quest and retail sector evolving?
I think Quest Retail, we've made sure that the brands we handpick stand for something. And so when I said about authenticity and sustainability, we see that we are in the right place with our brands that we have. And it's for us now how we can be, authentic, adaptable, agile, all the AAAs. And the last thing that I would say that Quest would want to have as a retailer is the trust of the consumer. Because today the trust of the consumer, if you are trusted, consumers will come towards you. So I think this is as far as Quest Retail is concerned. We have the brands, we have the legacy brands, we have the new age cult beauty brands, simply because we want to be in a space where we are giving brands that consumers are looking for. So while they need legacy, while they need something that they belong to, they have the trust of those brands, they're also looking for new things. What's new? What's the trend? What's the latest color? What's the latest fad? What's the latest, who's the latest celebrity? So we have a wonderful mix of legacy and trend and cult all together. So as far as the future is concerned, we've navigated Quest Retail to align ourselves for what I've just told you, what is the future of beauty. And as far as the future of retail is concerned, I think it is about omni-channel, that you can't be single channel. You have to just be very fair and agnostic as far as the consumer is concerned. And I think it's about, which we all know, but I still want to say it, it's about experience. Give the consumer an experience. As they say, people will remember by how they felt. So experience is all about consumers feeling. So I think give them the experiences that really will leave a lasting impact. I think the future of retail is very bright, really bright.
Thank you, Shriti. It was a pleasure talking to you and a very insightful interview. But before we wrap it up, I would love to have a rapid fire with you. And I will not give you a chance to think as I bombard you with questions.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Shriti, tell me, which is your favorite business book and what have you learned from that? Or maybe a quote that you can share with us.
Okay, there's so many business books. I mean, a lot of them, because when in business you tend to kind of gravitate towards, always seek support of great books. But I think the one book that I really, it stood out for me because it's been so different and it's been so disruptive is the book by the founder of the Body Shop called Anita Roddick. It is called Business as Unusual. And that's exactly, if you understood, it's not doing business in the usual way, but doing it in the unusual way, which is different from anybody else. And that's where business for social good, business is beyond profit, and business is something that can shape community any which way. So this is one book which has really stood out for me, and I believe has shaped a lot of the things that we talked about today. But I think if I talk about a quote from that book is that, there are many quotes from that book. One of them, and so many of them align with me personally, but one of them is the fact that activism is the rent that you pay for being on the planet. So that's one of the things that says that you have to fight for the things that you want for the world to be a better place. But also the second thing is if you are too small to make a difference, think about a mosquito and think about going to bed with a mosquito. So no matter how small you are, you can make a difference. And the third quote, which I may say so from Anita's book, is that be daring, be just. Always be just and fair. I think while we talk a lot about business and how to be profitable and how, I think these are things that really stood out for me. Be daring, be just. So yeah.
So, Shriti, next question is, if not in retail, what you would have been doing?
I think I like teaching. I love teaching, and I think a lot of my teams can see that because I play a big role in training and teaching, and that's kind of the culture of Quest Retail also. It's quite a training place. So I think if I wasn't in beauty, I would be an academician.
One retailer or the retail brand that we admire a lot.
Okay.
Not supposed to think.
Okay. I think one retail brand that I admire a lot is Kiehl's. Kiehl's is one of the brands that we have, and the reason I'll tell you that it's a brand since 1851. Now, can you imagine a brand since 1851 is relevant today and is thriving today? So that's my favorite retail brand. It's lived through centuries now, and stands for, again, authenticity. It stands for very unorthodox way of doing business. It stands for no marketing, but generosity. So these are different ways of, so I think that's one of my favorite brands. And of course, I don't need to talk about the Body Shop because I think we have talked, that goes by far. It is the brand that is very close to me, and it's the brand that has shaped Quest Retail and the ethos of Quest Retail. And it is a brand that is built on different principles, so definitely that. And as far as the retailer that I would look up to, I think it would be definitely Faguni Nair. I think she has created a business from not being a retailer and not being a person from beauty, but created a business through sheer passion for what she felt was the right thing and what she felt she wanted to do, and doing it from a scratch, self-made totally. And I think she's a very admirable person, but also a very nice person. So I think to be able to balance out what is required to be successful, it requires a lot of hard work and sacrifices, but also staying grounded and real. I think that's one of the things.
So Shriti, everybody knows that you are running this show here at Quest Retail as a group CEO. But what do you do in your free time?
I'm a person who actually, being from a small town, I really relate to the natural world. So I love nature. I invest and spend a lot of time, whatever little time I have on Sunday, I spend on my farm, which is not very far away. I also do a lot of riding, so I love horses, I ride. This is my time to be on my own and kind of, just take in as much of nature as possible. These are two things that I love doing, and I wish I had more time for it.
Lovely. So my last question to you is, any advice that you would love to give to the budding entrepreneurs who are betting big right now in the BPC industry?
I think it is about, a business that is sustainable. Innovation is very key, but the innovation has to be sustainable and help for a sustainable period of business. I think sustainability of the business is key for an entrepreneur. And as I said, innovation, be authentic in innovation. I think innovation is the one that every entrepreneur will kind of, that's the reason that they are an entrepreneur. So these are the two things that the innovation that you crack has to really fill a gap in the market, and that's one of the reasons. The second is be an innovation that can help build a sustainable business, and I think that's the second part. It's very exciting to be to try and innovate as much as you can, but then it has to have a journey, and it has to be surviving in the short term to thrive in the long term. So I think that's the advice I would give to an entrepreneur. But otherwise, I'm from the old school, so I would say that just be yourself and disrupt as much as you can. And hard work. There's nothing like hard work, but no matter what you do, hard work and the absolute determination, the absolute desire to do what you have to do, that's supreme. So all the people who have reached a certain point in life are very driven, and so being driven is key. So I think these are the few things that I would like to give an advice. But I'm sure the entrepreneurs of today are already that. They don't need advice from us because the world has changed, and it's really all the time for new people, new thoughts, and new way of doing things. So there's no fixed rule today, Charu. I mean, who knows, the rule that I'm saying or the advice that I'm saying is actually not going to work for the future. It's just that the world is changing and the rules are being defined every day.
Wonderfully explained, Shriti. Not only the last part of the last question, but in fact the entire interview. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, Charu.
It was a pleasure having you today.
Thank you, Charu. Thank you so much. I don't think I've talked so much for a long time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. I hope you enjoyed this show and this episode. If yes, please spread the word over the social media, and I'll see you again with a new retailer and new story next week. Till then, bye-bye.